Did you know that having a challenging, persistent, artistic hobby is a better predictor of career success than your IQ and your school grades? Take Alexis Carrel, for example, who won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1912 for adapting embroidery techniques to transplant surgery. Or Christiane Nusslein, who had mediocre grades in high school, only to later win the Nobel Prize for figuring out how embryos work, all the while making puzzles and writing a cookbook. Or my favorite, a patent office employee named Albert Einstein, who trained as a violinist since he was 6 years old, and said that the theory of relativity came to him by intuition as a result of his musical perception. And these people are not exceptions. The vast majority of Nobel Prize-winning scientists have artistic pursuits. One study found that they are 9 times more likely to do arts and crafts and 20 times more likely to be dancers or musicians than general scientists. By what you just saw, and by the way that I dress, you can probably tell that I am an economist. Yeah. And I was so determined to be successful in the business world that I even went to Stanford to get an MBA. And for 20 years, I worked to make big change happen in international organizations, such as launching the euro currency or developing life-saving medicines. But nothing has taught me more about leading complex change than being a flamenco dancer. Now, I'm not sure if you could tell, but I am not a professional dancer. Let that be clear right now. And I never really wanted to be a professional anyway. I just love dancing. And I've been dancing since I was 6 years old. What's interesting is that whenever I was stuck at work or out of ideas, it was the skills I learned as a dancer that helped me break through. You see, in the business world, we have this thing called change management, which sounds like a really smart thing to do when you want to make change happen, except that it does not work. By one measure, 78% of corporate transformations fail. And they fail exactly because we try to control change, when in fact, change is a living process, much like a live flamenco performance. Allow me to explain. In a traditional performance, we have a singer, a guitarist, and a dancer, and they come together shortly before the show, and they create a performance on the fly. There are no rehearsals. We did not rehearse this. So how do we do it? Well, we have a common language that's been passed down from generation to generation for 300 years. See, flamenco was born in the south of Spain, and it's the result of a mix of various cultures: Roma, Jewish, Moorish, Asian, American. It was the Gitano people that made it famous around the world by converting their experience as excluded people into art. Flamenco is extremely complex. There are about 60 different styles, each one with different variations underneath depending on the town it's from, the neighborhood it's from, the artist that made it famous. There are different lyrics, emotional expressions, gestures. And just for dancers, let me show you. We can dance with different accessories. We can dance with a giant shawl. We can dance with castanets. We can also dance with a fan. We can dance with a long train skirt, a cane, or we can dance with all of those things at the same time. The possibilities are infinite. Now, when artists get together and we pick a style that we want to perform, we know that it comes with a specific rhythm, structure, and melody. And that is what allows our team to create a vision for the future. The problem is there's hundreds of different ways to get there. Because in flamenco, the rules are fluid. Everybody is free to break them. And by the way, in a live performance, anything can absolutely happen. Flamenco is what physicists call a three-body problem, a complex, dynamic system that changes constantly, and a perfect training ground for a conventional leader like me to get over some really bad habits that I learned in the business world.